Mia Thompson gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white as she pulled into the familiar pickup lane at Lincoln Elementary in suburban Ohio. The afternoon sun glinted off the chain-link fence where parents waited in their SUVs, chatting about soccer practice and weekend plans. But today something felt wrong the moment she spotted Principal Hargrove striding toward her car instead of Sophia's usual teacher. "Mia, I'm afraid I can't let you take Sophia home today," he said, his voice flat and official, his eyes avoiding hers as the other mothers fell silent one by one. The words landed like ice water down her back. Mia blinked twice, trying to process what she had just heard. "Excuse me? I'm her mother. I have full custody papers right here." She reached for the glove compartment, but Hargrove raised a hand, stopping her cold. "This isn't about paperwork, Mia. It's about the environment we provide for the children. After yesterday's parent meeting, the board reviewed your situation. Your wife Mackenzie, the fact that you're both women. We've had complaints. For Sophia's sake, we're restricting pickup to biological family members only until further notice." Mia's stomach dropped. She could feel the stares burning into her skin from the line of cars behind her. Sophia's small face appeared at the classroom window, waving excitedly until a teacher gently pulled her back. The little girl's smile faded as she sensed the tension. Mia's mind raced back to the quiet life she and Mackenzie had built over the last 4 years after Mia's divorce from Sophia's father. They had moved to this town for a fresh start away from her conservative parents in Indiana. Mackenzie worked as a graphic designer from home, so she could be there for Sophia's school plays and doctor appointments. They never flaunted anything, just lived openly as a married couple the way any other family did. But now that quiet life was cracking open in front of everyone. She stepped out of the car, legs unsteady. "This is discrimination. You can't do this." Her voice rose just enough for the nearest parents to hear. Principal Hargrove's jaw tightened. "It's not discrimination, Mia. It's protection." Several families expressed concern that exposure to your lifestyle could confuse the children. "We have to consider the majority." He turned and walked away, leaving Mia standing alone on the sidewalk as engines started and cars began to pull forward. One mother she barely knew offered a pitying glance before driving off with her own kids. Mia's phone buzzed, Mackenzie's name lighting up the screen. She couldn't answer. Not yet. Not while her daughter was still inside that building, wondering why mommy wasn't coming. By the time she reached home, the sun had dipped low, casting long shadows across their modest 2-story house on Maple Street. Mackenzie met her at the door, worry etched across her face. "What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost." Mia collapsed onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. The story spilled out in jagged sentences, the principal's cold words, the staring parents, the way Sophia had been pulled from the window, like some kind of contagion. Mackenzie listened without interrupting, her dark eyes filling with tears. When Mia finished, Mackenzie stood up and paced the living room. "We're calling a lawyer tonight. This can't stand. Sophia needs both of us." But Mia wasn't so sure. Deep down, a voice she hated whispered that maybe the principal had a point. Maybe her choices were hurting the one person she loved most. She thought of her own mother back in Indiana, who hadn't spoken to her since the wedding photos appeared on Facebook. "You're confusing that little girl," her mother had texted last year. "Choose your family or your sin." The memory burned. Mia looked at Mackenzie, the woman who had stood by her through the divorce, the custody battle, the move. The woman she loved more than anything. Yet right now love felt like a weapon pointed at her own daughter's future. That night, after they finally picked Sophia up through Mackenzie's name on the emergency list, the little girl asked why mommy couldn't get her. Mia lied and said it was a mix-up at the office. Sophia accepted it with the trusting innocence of an 8-year-old. But Mia knew the lie was only the beginning. The real storm was just starting to gather. The next morning, Mia woke to the sound of her phone vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. News of the pickup ban had already spread through the parent group chat. Messages poured in, some supportive, some vicious. "How dare they treat you like this?" read one from a teacher friend. Another anonymous account wrote, "Keep your agenda away from our kids." Mackenzie made coffee in silence, her shoulders tense. They had stayed up until 2 a.m. researching school board policies and LGBT parental rights, but every article felt like a double-edged sword. Yes, the law was on their side in theory, but small-town Ohio moved slowly and reputations moved faster. Mia dropped Sophia at school through the car line, this time using Mackenzie's name again. The little girl hugged her extra tight before running inside. "Love you, Mommy." "Tell Mama I said hi." The words should have warmed her, but instead they twisted like a knife. At work, Mia's boss noticed her distraction. She sold insurance at a local agency, and today every policy quote felt meaningless. During lunch, she called the ACLU hotline only to be told they were backlogged but would look into it. "These cases take time," the volunteer said kindly. Time. That was exactly what Mia didn't have. Sophia's school play was in 3 weeks and Mia was supposed to help with costumes. Would she even be allowed on campus? When she got home, Mackenzie had printed out a stack of emails she planned to send to the school board. "We fight this together," she said, kissing Mia's forehead. But Mia pulled away gently. What if fighting makes it worse? What if they try to question our custody? The fear had been growing since yesterday, a dark cloud that refused to lift. Mackenzie's face fell. "You're not seriously thinking about stepping back, are you?" The question hung between them, heavy with everything they had never said out loud. Mia remembered the night she had come out to her parents, the shouting, the tears, the way her father had called Mackenzie, "That woman who ruined our family." She had chosen love then. Now the price was staring her in the face every time she pictured Sophia's confused eyes. That evening they attended the emergency parent-teacher meeting together. The gymnasium was packed. Principal Hargrove stood at the podium flanked by 2 board members. When Mia and Mackenzie walked in, a ripple of whispers swept the room. One father stood up immediately. "I don't want my son hearing about 2 moms at home. It's not natural." Murmurs of agreement followed. Mia felt her cheeks burn, but Mackenzie squeezed her hand and stepped forward. "We're not here to change anyone's beliefs. We're here because my wife is being denied access to her own child. That's illegal and it's cruel." Her voice stayed steady even as Mia's legs shook. The principal cleared his throat. "We're not banning anyone permanently. We simply ask that pickup be handled by a traditional family member until we resolve community concerns." Traditional. The word landed like a slap. Mia's mind flashed to her own mother, who had once offered to take Sophia full-time so she can grow up normal. The betrayal cut deep. After the meeting, several parents approached them privately offering quiet support, but no one wanted to speak publicly. One mother pulled Mia aside. "My sister is gay too. I get it. But my husband would kill me if I said anything." The isolation settled over Mia like a heavy blanket. Driving home, Mackenzie broke the silence. "We're not backing down. I'll quit my freelance jobs if I have to and pick her up every single day." Mia nodded, but inside the cracks were widening. She loved Mackenzie with every fiber of her being, yet the image of Sophia being pulled away from the window kept replaying. That night Mia lay awake staring at the ceiling while Mackenzie slept beside her. For the first time in years she wondered if love was enough when the world kept demanding payment in her daughter's tears. The school board hearing was scheduled for the following Thursday. Mia spent the intervening days in a fog of anxiety and whispered phone calls. Her lawyer, a sharp young woman named Rachel from Columbus, warned them the board was conservative, and the case could drag on for months. "Public opinion matters more than you think in these towns," Rachel said. Mia's stomach turned at the thought of her private life becoming public fodder. Mackenzie threw herself into research, printing articles about similar cases across the country where lesbian parents had won. But every victory story felt distant compared to the daily reality of explaining to Sophia why Mama couldn't pick her up. Sophia herself was starting to notice. "Why does Mrs. Hargrove look at you funny, Mommy?" she asked one night over spaghetti. Mia forced a smile and changed the subject, but the question lingered. That same evening Mia's mother called for the first time in months. The conversation was short and brutal. "I saw the Facebook posts, Mia. This is what I warned you about. Give that woman up and we'll help you get Sophia back full-time. Your father knows a judge." The offer hung in the air like poison. Mia hung up shaking. Mackenzie found her in the kitchen staring at the phone. What did she want? When Mia told her, Mackenzie's eyes hardened. "Don't you dare listen to her. We are Sophia's family. All of us." The betrayal came 2 days later from someone Mia had trusted. Her best friend from high school, Jenna, who had been supportive at the wedding, posted a long vague status about protecting children from confusing influences. When Mia confronted her over text, Jenna replied, "I have kids too, Mia. I can't risk it." The message felt like a door slamming shut. Mia cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes while Mackenzie held her from the other side of the door. People show their true colors when it costs them something, Mackenzie whispered. The hearing itself was worse than Mia had imagined. The boardroom was packed with parents, some holding signs that read, "Keep our schools safe." Principal Hargrove presented a petition with 40 signatures demanding traditional values in family interactions. Mia stood at the podium reading her prepared statement, her voice cracking only once when she mentioned Sophia's smile. Mackenzie spoke next, her words fierce and measured. But the board members barely looked at them. When the vote came, it was swift 3-2 in favor of upholding the restriction pending further review. The room erupted in applause from one side and stunned silence from the other. Outside in the parking lot, Mia leaned against their car fighting nausea. "We lost," she whispered. Mackenzie pulled her close. "We're not done. Rachel says we can sue." But Mia was no longer sure what winning even looked like. That night, after tucking Sophia in, she sat on the porch alone. The cool Ohio air carried the distant sound of neighborhood kids laughing. She thought about every choice that had led here: the divorce, the coming out, the marriage. Each one had felt right at the time. Now each one carried a price tag written in her daughter's confusion. Mackenzie joined her quietly, slipping an arm around her waist. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Mia wanted to believe that. She really did. But the voice in her head kept asking the same question. At what cost? The lawsuit hit the local paper the following week, turning their quiet street into a spectacle. Reporters camped outside the house, and Sophia's teacher called to say the girl had been crying at recess. Mia took a leave of absence from work. The insurance agency suddenly felt like enemy territory after her boss suggested she keep a low profile. Mackenzie's freelance clients started canceling projects one by one. The financial pressure mounted alongside the emotional weight. They ate cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row because neither had the energy to cook. Mia's internal storm grew darker. She began questioning everything. During a late-night argument, she snapped at Mackenzie, "Maybe if I had stayed with Sophia's father, none of this would be happening." The words left her mouth before she could stop them. Mackenzie recoiled as if slapped. "You don't mean that." But the damage was done. Mia spent the rest of the night on the couch replaying every sacrifice Mackenzie had made, moving across state lines, leaving her own family behind to support Mia's dreams of a blended family. Guilt gnawed at her until she couldn't breathe. A breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Sophia's pediatrician, Dr. Patel, a soft-spoken woman who had treated the girl since birth, offered to write a letter to the court. "Children thrive with stable, loving parents regardless of gender," she stated during their appointment. The words gave Mia a flicker of hope, but hope felt fragile against the tide of community backlash. Her own brother called next, threatening to support their mother in a custody challenge if Mia didn't fix this mess. The family pressure was relentless. Mackenzie noticed the change in Mia first. "You're pulling away," she said one morning while they folded laundry. "I can feel it." Mia didn't deny it. Instead, she admitted the truth that had been building for weeks. "I'm terrified that loving you is hurting her." What kind of mother puts her own happiness above her child's peace? The question cracked open the last wall between them. Mackenzie sat down, tears streaming. The kind who teaches her daughter that love is worth fighting for. Don't let them win by making you choose. The conversation stretched into the early hours. They talked about the day they met at a mutual friend's barbecue, how Mia had felt seen for the first time in years. They remembered Sophia's first steps between them on the living room rug. Every memory became both weapon and shield. By dawn, Mia had made a decision not to walk away but to fight harder than ever. She called Rachel at 7 a.m. "Let's take this to federal court if we have to." The lawyer's voice brightened. "That's the spirit." Yet even as resolve hardened, new cracks appeared. An anonymous letter arrived in the mail containing a single photo of Mia and Mackenzie kissing at their wedding with the words, "Think of Sophia," scrawled across the back. Mia burned it in the sink before Mackenzie could see, but the image stayed branded behind her eyes. That afternoon, she volunteered at the school play rehearsal using Mackenzie's name on the sign-in sheet. Watching Sophia rehearse her lines, Mia felt the full weight of what she was protecting. The little girl's laughter was worth every battle. The federal complaint was filed on a rainy Tuesday in October. Rachel warned them the process could take years, but the immediate injunction hearing came faster than expected. The courtroom in Columbus was smaller than Mia imagined, yet it felt enormous when she took the stand. Principal Hargrove testified first, claiming the restriction was neutral and based solely on community feedback. His words sounded reasonable until Rachel cross-examined him, revealing how the complaints had come mostly from the same 3 families with known ties to a local conservative church. Mackenzie testified next, her voice steady, as she described the daily pain of watching Mia crumble. "We never asked for special treatment. We only asked to be treated like any other parents." The judge, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes, listened without expression. Mia's turn came last. She spoke about the night Sophia was born, how she had promised to give her daughter a life filled with love no matter what form it took. Tears slipped down her cheeks when she described the pickup line incident. "I'm not asking the court to approve of my marriage. I'm asking it to protect my child from being punished for it." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed them. One local station ran a segment that evening framing the story as Ohio School Board versus Lesbian Mom. Comments online split violently. Support poured in from strangers across the country, while hate messages flooded their voicemail. Mia's mother called again, this time crying, "Come home, Mia. We can fix this." The offer felt like a trap wrapped in concern. Mia hung up without answering. That weekend they took Sophia to the park for the first time in weeks. The little girl ran ahead chasing ducks while Mia and Mackenzie walked hand in hand. For a few precious hours the world felt normal. But reality returned Monday when the school sent a letter stating the restriction would remain in place until the judge ruled. The waiting became its own kind of torture. Mia started having nightmares about losing custody. Mackenzie held her through each one, whispering promises neither of them could guarantee. A surprise ally emerged when the local teachers' union issued a statement supporting Mia and calling for policy review. The principal's office received dozens of emails. Slowly the tide seemed to shift. Yet Mia knew better than to celebrate. She had learned that progress in small towns came with hidden costs. Her brother showed up unannounced one evening, demanding to speak with Sophia alone. Mackenzie blocked the door while Mia called the police. The confrontation ended with flashing lights and a restraining order, but the damage to Mia's nerves was done. Through it all, the internal war raged. Every time Mia looked at Mackenzie, she felt both gratitude and guilt. Love had brought them here, but love was also the reason they might lose everything. One quiet evening, Mia wrote a letter she never intended to send. "If I have to choose between keeping you and keeping her, I don't know if I'm strong enough." She tore it up before Mackenzie could see, but the words haunted her for days. The judge's ruling came on a crisp November morning just before Thanksgiving. Mia and Mackenzie sat in the courtroom holding hands so tightly their fingers went numb. Sophia waited at home with a trusted neighbor. The judge cleared her throat and read from the prepared statement. "The court finds the school's policy constitutes unlawful discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. The restriction is hereby lifted immediately, and the district is ordered to implement sensitivity training for staff." The gavel struck and the room erupted. Mia cried tears of pure relief while Mackenzie laughed through her own sobs. Outside they called Sophia with the news. The little girl's scream of joy echoed through the phone. That afternoon Mia walked through the school gate for the first time in months, and Sophia ran straight into her arms. The other parents watched, some smiling, some still stony-faced, but no one stopped them. Principal Hargrove offered a stiff nod from his office window. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was freedom. The victory came with scars. Mia's relationship with her birth family remained fractured, though her mother sent a single text that simply read, "I'm glad she's okay." Jenna never apologized but unfriended her quietly. The town remained divided, yet the daily pickup line no longer felt like a battlefield. Mackenzie suggested they move to a bigger city, but Mia shook her head. "We fought for this life. We stay and make it better." In the months that followed, Mia watched Sophia bloom again. The girl stopped asking why Mama couldn't pick her up and started bragging about both her moms at show and tell. Mia and Mackenzie renewed their vows in a small backyard ceremony surrounded by the few friends who had never wavered. The kiss they shared under string lights felt like coming home. Yet Mia never forgot the price they had paid, the sleepless nights, the doubt, the moments she had almost broken. Looking back, she realized the real awakening hadn't been the court ruling. It had been the moment she chose to stop apologizing for loving Mackenzie. The world could demand whatever it wanted, but Mia refused to pay with her daughter's future, or her own heart. Was the principal right to protect the other children from what he called confusion, or was his decision nothing more than prejudice dressed up as policy that nearly destroyed an innocent family?